Everyone, welcome back to the channel. You're watching our cloud school. Today in this video we are going to discuss about filter activities with Azure Data Factory. This is in continuation to our previous demonstration where we discussed about the metadata activity. Now we will learn what is filter data activity and how to use in the pipeline. So let me log on to Azure Data Factory dashboard and I'll give you a demonstration of the same. So here in my Azure portal, I have this Azure Data Factory instance which I'll be using for the demonstration. To define a new pipeline, I'll click on this author icon and here you will find all our Data Factory resources where I will define a new pipeline by clicking on this add new resource, add new pipeline. And first of all, before we use the filter activities, we need the data or the collection. So just to give you an information about the filter activities, basically filter activities can help you filtering the result from a collection, which means that you need to have a collection on which you would like to apply the filter. Now to give you a simplest demonstration, what we can do is, let's say we have list of files available within a folder or a container and we would like to filter out the files or depending upon the name and the type from that collection. Just to give you an idea, let's say this is my container where I have different types of file, and what I want to do is I would like to filter out all my CSV files, right? Or I would like to filter out all the files which contains the number as in 10 and extension as in CSV. So this is going to be this file and this file, because this contains 10, this is also contains 10, and both of them contains the CSV file. So I may want to, let's say, filter out these two files. So how do I perform this action with the filter activity? That is what I'm going to show. But just to let you know, this filter activity is not only supported for the file types, but you can also apply on any collection. So in a summary, your filter activities runs on a collection on which you can apply various functions or various logical functions, and based on that you can apply the filter. So to continue the demonstration, first of all I'm going to use the get metadata activity because I would like to get the read all the file names and then I would apply the filter on that. To use the get metadata activity, I have to define the settings like we know now with the previous demonstration. Let me define the data set. I'm going to define the data set as in Azure Blob Storage, file format as in binary because I'm looking for various different types of file. I'm going to call it as ds binary source. And the link service, we are going to use the existing link service which we have created in our previous demonstration. Now using this link service, my data source can connect to the input container. So I'm going to click on the browse just to test the connectivity. As you can see that it is connected to the input container, that is the same container which is here. Now let me just select the container name and it will browse all those files which we are looking for. Remember, we are looking for these two files, right? So to filter out that, first of all I'm going to read the metadata for all the files and then afterwards we will apply the filter. So let's click on OK to define this data set. Our data set should be ready here, which is created under this dataset option, which is this one, right? Next I'm going to, let me just give it a name. I think I've not given a proper name. Okay, next within this metadata activity we need to define the field type. So as we are looking for multiple files within the folder, I'm going to choose an option as in child item so that it retrieves all the child or the files within that folder which we have specified within the binary data source. With that, our data set or the metadata activity is completed. Next activity which we are looking for is the filter activity, which you can find it under the iteration and condition. It is a conditional or iteration type of activity. So this is the activity we are looking for. So let's drag this particular activity type onto the canvas, and now I would like to run this activity after completion of the metadata activity. So on completion icon I will select and drag this to the filter activity, and that will define the shape which will run my filter activity after completion of metadata activity, right? Now on this filter activity, if you find that it is a general settings, which you can basically provide the name and the description as always for any other settings, we do the same. Next settings type we have is the items, which means that it is looking for the collection on which the filter is supposed to run. Now if you look at our previous run, you would see that our previous run would have the collection, right? Now to apply the collection from the previous activity, which is the get data activity, I need to click on this add dynamic content, and as soon as I click on the add dynamic content, Azure Data Factory automatically knows the information about the previous activity output, which you can find it here in the activity output type, and you can see that it has returned the output as in activity output in general, return value, child items, exist or not, item type, last modified and all. So as I'm interested only in the child items, I'm going to click on this particular property section, and that will drive at the red activity, which is the name of the activity, then the output of the activity, and then attribute, which is a child items which we are looking for. Now with that, our item collection is ready. Now this proves that our filter will run on the child item collection. And now next thing is the filter condition which you would like to apply. So whatever is the filter condition you want to apply, that is what you can specify as in dynamic content. So let's click on the add dynamic content to add a new dynamic condition here. Now here on the dynamic condition, you can see that the filter iteration says that on each current item, because we are applying a filter on the collection, so within the collection on each item we would like to specify or validate some conditions. So you can select the condition like this, and then whatever filter criteria we want to apply. So condition is always going to return boolean expression which is going to be true or false. So you have to write a logic whether what could be your condition. Do you want to check, let's say, name not equal to null, or do you want to check the file content should be of type CSV? To support that logic, there are variety of different functions available. For an example, you have the activity output, which is the output of your previous activity. Then you have a parameters in case if you have parameters already been defined. Next you have the system variables in case if you want to use it, or the functions, which is a logical function which you may want to use it, or a string function which you may want to use it. So I'm looking for some of these logical functions, so or maybe a contains function I'm looking for. So it could be the string type of function which you would find that information. Let me just check if the string contains function is something which you can find it here. Or so to find out a function name, first of all I'm going to write this @ function. So whenever you write the dynamic content, remember that your dynamic content always start with this @ sign in Azure Data Factory. So no matter which activity you are writing or using this dynamic content, it will always start with @ and it should have only one @ inside the entire line of expression, right? What do I mean by that? I'll show you. So I'm looking for contain functions, contains, right? So contains function is this one, which runs on any and returns boolean, and that is what we are looking for. So I'm going to check the contains function. Now contains function, first thing I'm going to give it is the item name, and then what I want to check, I want to, let's check as in .csv, so that I would like to make sure that it only retrieves the file which is having the text as in .csv as a file name. Now you can see that I got an error. It says that @ token is not recognizable. The reason for that is, like I said, because we have used the @ here, so it's not going to recognize this particular token. So I have to remove this, and that is what I mean earlier, that your expression should use the @ symbol at the beginning, and after that you can use it as is. Whereas if I would have if I was not using this expression contain, then definitely I have to use this item name, item @ sign with item, and then I might have said that name equals to something like this. That would have been the condition which may have worked as well, right? Now I'm reverting back to the condition. So here what I'm saying is, if this contains, then my filter condition will use the expression true, and if it is true then it will accept that particular result and move forward. If not, then it will not accept that result and split that option. So let me just click on OK, validate the pipeline, and that is it. So I'm going to run the pipeline, and that with that we will expect the metadata to return all the file metadata as in the child item, and then we are applying filter on the child item to get the list of all the CSV file types. So our activities are completed. The get metadata activity contains the child item, which contains the name of all the files and the file type, which is the file itself. Next you have the filter activities. Now within the filter activities you got the total 9 item count as a 9, but we have not got any file as such, which means that there is some issue with the condition on which we are matching the condition, right? The reason could be because we are using item as in, whereas we might require to use, let's say, the child item dot name. So it's going to be like the name we have to use. Remember that we are working on a child items, right, collection, and within that you have the attribute like type and name. So this is the attribute we have to look for, and that is what I might be missing here. So what I need to do is I need to add the name property here, because name property is where it is supposed to check the contains operation, or it is supposed to run the contains operation. So let me run that again using the debug option, and this time I'm looking for a accurate result. So activity is completed, and as expected this time we have got only the values which contains the file type is in CSV, right? Now our objective was to select the file type with this CSV as well as the file which contains the number or the value as in 10. So if you don't want this particular file, so that is the further filter which we can apply. So I'm going to write another condition within the same filter expression. So let's add the end condition within this conditional block. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use the end block, which is this, and here you have to specify end means if multiple conditions are going to be true, this and this and this, then everything is going to be returned as in true. So what we are going to say here is, if you look at, if the name contains, let's say 10 and contains .csv, let me just see if ends with file name ends with csv.csv. So just revise, if the file name contains this and the file name ends with csv or maybe .csv, then we are looking to filter those file names. So let's click on OK. This is going to be a final condition. Let's validate the pipeline again. Click on debug just to make sure that we are retrieving the file names which are only specific to that extension, which is CSV, and contains the name which is a numerical value 10. So it is completed. Let's look at the result of the filter. I'll expand it. As we can see that we have got two file names which are, both of them contains the value or the numerical value 10. This is also contains 10s and ending with this. So depending upon your filtration logic, you can apply those conditions, and you can have any number of functions, logical expression, which you can write it inside this filter condition, inside this expression, and you can build your own expression. Make sure that you have this @ symbol at the beginning, but we are not using any @ symbol in the contains operator or any functions within the function basically, right? So that is it in this demonstration. Just to revise, we have learned how to use the filter operation to filter out the collection and then return the result as in remaining item to use it further in the logic using the Azure Data Factory. I hope you have found this useful. If it is, please give it a thumbs up and do not forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Thanks for watching it. See you in the next video.